In this video, I'm going to tell you how to get the most realistic and comfortable cockpit camera in Assetto Corsa using Content Manager, a NeckFX Lua script, and I'm then going to tell you the settings that we're using and why you want to be using this rather than any other settings. Because I know in the comments section we'll get people going, why is that realistic? I like lock to car, I like these settings. You're all wrong, guys. You're all wrong. You know I'm right. Do this. You'll have a better time. A bonus of this NeckFX script is that for those of you that play in virtual reality and also want a comfortable view, this is absolutely superb. So if you play Assetto Corsa, by default, you normally have either lock to horizon or lock to car. Now, lock to car will put the camera as if it's actually part of the car, and that does attach it to the vehicle. It's really nice and decisive. It will make you feel connected. But unfortunately, lock to car will also pick up all the track bumps, making things very hard to focus on and making things particularly bad if you're sensitive to motion. And it'll make things particularly bad if you're sensitive to the horizon rolling and you moving around all the time. Especially if you're playing VR, a lot of people like the horizon to be flat, and they also like those bumps filtered. So what they then do is they use the lock to horizon setting. However, if you use the lock to horizon setting in Assetto Corsa, what you then find is that if you do something like Daytona Oval, or you do retro racing on a bit of Monza banking or something with aggressive banking, you then find that your camera is flat and your car is bending around you, and it's absolutely ridiculous and completely immersion breaking. Fortunately, there was a script called Real Head Motion, which was a separate add-on plugin for Assetto Corsa and actually worked really well and let you dial these things in and adjust it. However, that has now basically been retired because we now have this NeckFX Lua script, which you plug into Content Manager. Thanks for subscribing. Which you plug into Content Manager that gets you the real head motion stuff and also some more adjustability. So to take advantage of this, you need to head over to Race Department. I'll put a link in the description where you can download this Lua script for Content Manager. And what you need to do is download it, and you need to extract the folder that you download into the main Assetto Corsa file. You can't just drag it into Content Manager. You need to install it the old way. Make sure it's going into the right folders. Follow the same directory name that's in the zip file. Put it into the main folder and you'll have a happy time. Now, what you also need to do is you'll need to then go into Content Manager. You'll then need to go to Custom Shader Patch, NeckFX, and you have to enable the script in Content Manager by selecting it from the script options, where you have the settings here in the Replace Original CSP Behavior with a Custom Script. You can select it from here and you then got the script. Now, if the settings here don't appear, that rhymed by accident, then what you can do is reset, or just reload Content Manager, and they might then appear when you next load it up. Or if they still don't appear, it's probably because you have an out-of-date version of Content Manager. So make sure you have the latest version of Content Manager by either getting a Content Manager key by donating through the Content Manager website, put a link in the description, or if you're on Patreon, you can get a key from there. Then you also need to make sure that you're running Content Manager as administrator so that you can actually get the latest updates, and Content Manager updates itself all the time. So, you need to make sure you're on the latest version of Content Manager, otherwise these options won't appear. So assuming that you've got the script selected and you've got these options, you then just select these options and put these values. I found these are really good values for me. We've got roll lock, pitch lock, head follow, and bump multiplier. And what all these options do is they control how much the camera basically can do lock to horizon and how much it can't do lock to horizon. So it limits how much the car will roll relative to your camera before it goes out of being locked to horizon. And then it also has this bump multiplier option, which edits the speed at which the camera and the tilt and the roll reacts to things like bumps on the track, details on the tracks, and quick roll and quick pitches. And that helps to then keep everything stabilized. So basically what this does is it gets you the benefit of both lock to horizon and lock to track, and it's the closest thing to the onboard camera that you'll get in iRacing. And as you can see, as we go through the banking here, we come out of the banking and we are basically, it's like we're locked to car, but you'll notice the view here is really, really smooth. We're not getting jolts and bumps affecting our view. So if you're playing in VR, you will be attached to the vehicle all the time, but when you go to an oval section, well, when you're on a flat bit of track or when you're on a slightly bumpy bit of track, it's nice and smooth. But when you go to an oval bit of track, the camera actually stays with the vehicle and doesn't feel like your neck is falling off. Now, I will say this does work a lot more like a gimbal rather than a actual camera filter. So iRacing still does this better in that iRacing has this gimbal option like this, a sort of locked horizon option, but it also has a filter that filters as if the camera is on like a spring from the top, the bottom, the left and the right, that then holds it stable and then filters out quick movements. So you go. See, we're on the banking section section here, and you see we're actually stuck with the car. Works really nice. Also, if we go up and down, it will bug out a little bit because of how locked horizon works, but you can adjust the settings to get this as best possible. But yeah, the iRacing camera filters bumps out a lot better, but this is absolutely, at this point in time, the best camera that you can get in Assetto Corsa. There are descriptions on each of these options, so you can see what they do, and it is worth fiddling with them. And nicely, you can fiddle with these settings whilst you're in the car to see how it affects things. If you just load up Content Manager when you're in the game, then you can fiddle with these and you'll see as you play with them whilst you're in the vehicle driving to dial it into your own preference. As I say, these settings here were pretty good for me. So that is pretty much it for this. Is possibly the most exciting video you will ever see on this channel. NeckFX Lua script, the best onboard camera you can get in AC. Now before we go, because I will get comments of people going, Gamer Muscle, it's all subjective. I like NeckFX stuff. Right, fine. You might want to set the camera up to however you want, and if you're comfortable with it, great, that's fine. But if you have a lot of movement of the vehicle, the camera going all over the place, that's really not what it feels like when you're driving in a real car. For a start, people will be generally surprised if they've never been on a real racetrack how smooth it is. Pretty much every racetrack I've been on in real life, Donington, Spa, Silverstone, I don't know, some random circuits, I can't remember, Nordschleife, all of them are actually really quite smooth, even much more smoother than if you're going around a go-kart track, because obviously a go-kart doesn't have any suspension. So things are generally really quite smooth. And also, as I say, you really don't notice your body moving around. You're normally strapped in and things are really nice and tight. So you might want to add, some people do like to add those G-load and movement settings to make it feel like, they're braking, they're accelerating and all these things. But normally those things are going to be somewhat of a distraction from what the vehicle's actually doing. And if you do a lot of sim racing, you're automatically going to start filtering those things out within like 5 or 6 hours of driving. So you might as well just turn them off. As you can see here, we do have the G4 settings turned to 0 here in Assetto Corsa, so we don't have any of those cam settings. Now, the other settings that a lot of people might use are the real head motion stuff in terms of look to apex when they turn the wheel and all the random crap that you've got available. Now, I'm not doubting that sometimes if you do drifting and you've just got used to having the camera rotate with your wheel or the camera do its own thing, I'm not saying that's going to be I'm not saying that's universally terrible. Some people got used to that and maybe they're fine with it, maybe they're happy with it. Good for you. But again, in that scenario, you are basically having a completely arbitrary connection to the vehicle, which might work for you, but on average it's better to not have something that's totally arbitrary, I'd say, for most people. If you are doing lots of drifting, maybe, because you can't, that's the only way to really see sideways and what have you. But for any other type of driving, I really don't particularly see the benefits for most people. And for a lot of people that are sensitive to motion sickness, all those rotate based off wheel movement and everything else, and look at apex, I think will just really be off-putting. But that is pretty much it, guys, for this video. It was a delight. It was exciting. You've never seen a better video. If you found it useful, let me know. Click the like button. And if you have any thoughts that you would like to add yourself, let us know in the comment section. But that is it. There you go. Goodbye. Until the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a member. Goodbye.
Whoa. Slow, man. Look.